The first generation Enviro300 was introduced in 2001. This bus was made by Trams until 2004. This was because of the collapse of Trams International, which later became Allison and Dennis. And then in 2007, Allison and Dennis created a second generation Enviro300, which shared the design of their Enviro200 and Enviro400. So in this video, we're going to be explaining the different transmissions that push the bus into each gear. Now there's 4 transmissions this bus can have: a ZF Ecomat, a ZF Ecolife, a Voith or an Allison World Series. So we're going to be explaining the difference between all these transmissions and how they sound in each bus. This bus also has different engines as well, so it can be fitted with a Cummins engine, a MAN engine, a Volvo engine or a Scania engine. Listen carefully, this was a 13 plate first Allison and Dennis Enviro300, and this had a ZF Ecolife transmission. Now if you listen carefully on that video, when the bus was slowing down, it didn't make a squeal sound like the Voith transmissions made. It didn't make a pew sound like the ZF Ecomat. It just nicely slowed down and came to the stop. Now we're going to watch the bus accelerate, and you're going to hear the sound of it, and you're going to take note, because in the other videos the buses may change gear differently. Now as you heard in that video, the bus did not like to stay in the lower gears. It just went straight from first, second, third, fourth and then fifth and then stayed there. But when the bus slowed down a slightly little bit, it started to down gear, which in a Voith transmission you will not have that. You'll hear that squealer sound, and then once it gets to a very low speed, that's when it'll start down gearing. And we're going to move on to a ZF Ecomat. This transmission is made by ZF, just like the ZF Ecolife, but it has a different sound to it. When it's changing gears, you'll have a very whiny woo sound, and it's an older transmission compared to the ZF Ecolife. As you heard with the ZF Ecomat transmission, it kinda had the same gear ratio as the ZF Ecolife, but it had a whining sound in between each gear change. Driving that Enviro300 was quite a fast driver, so sometimes when you put your foot down on a bus, the transmission will act a bit different compared to when you're going slow. So if you're just driving average speed, it'll just change gear averagely, but if you're driving at high speed, then it'll tend to change at a higher rev. But if you notice with that ZF Ecomat, it made quite a whining sound when it changed gear. And then also when slowing down, it also makes a whining sound when each gear change happens. So when it's downing from third to second, it'll make a whine, and then from second to first, it'll make a whine. But with the Voith, it'll just keep whining as a constant sound as the gears are downing. So now we're going to look at a Voith transmission. We're going to look at a 2012 Alexander Dennis Enviro300 with a Voith Diwa transmission. With that bus, as you heard, the gear changes were a lot more taller and you could understand them a lot more compared to the ZF transmission. When that bus did change gear, the first, second and third, you may have heard like a squealing sound. Well, that was nothing to do with the bus, that was to do with the engine. This bus had a squeaky turbo. Voith transmissions are usually the quietest unless they're slowing down, and then it'd usually make some sound. Also, you may have noticed the bus went down from fourth to third, and it actually lost power. As the bus was going quite slow, the gearbox got confused and went down gear. That's not usually a feature in Voith transmissions. I never actually had that happen. And then from third gear, it kicked down to second gear, meaning that the bus driver must put his foot down, and then it gave the bus a lot more power. Now last in this video, I'm going to show you a 59 plate Enviro300. This bus has an Allison World Series transmission, and this is my favourite of the four. With this transmission, it didn't fail to get some high revs out of the bus. In first gear, it changed quite quickly, but it got to some high revs. Then in second gear, it stayed in that gear for quite a while before going into third gear, then fourth gear. And in this particular clip, it didn't go into fifth gear. In this final clip that I show you, I'm going to show you an Allison transmission getting quite confused. So now you've watched all the clips of the Enviro300, you'd hopefully be able to tell the difference between the transmissions. Just a little recap, the ZF Ecolife usually tries to get through the gears as quickly as possible to stay in the higher gears, and when slowing down, it'll kind of down gear gradually. You won't really hear a sound from this transmission, it's usually the quietest, you can only hear the engine, not really the transmission, even when slowing down. The ZF Ecomat is the one that makes a whining sound when changing gear, so first, second, third it'll change the gear. It's just like the ZF Ecolife but with a bit of sound. Yes, this transmission will make a sound when slowing down as well, and it'll sometimes make a charging sound when it's stopped. The Voith transmission is the transmission that usually has the same gear ratio in each gear, so from first to second to third to fourth. It doesn't usually have 5 gears or 6 gears like the rest, this one only has 4. The gear changes are usually equal, and sometimes this bus, when you put your foot all the way down, it'll do a kick down. When slowing down, this transmission will usually make a squeal sound until the bus has come to a halt. This is the retarder. And then finally to the Allison transmission, this is my favourite out of the 4. This one starts in first gear and usually gets to quite high revs, and then into second gear it usually stays in that gear for a while, then goes to third, then goes to fourth, and sometimes it'll go to fifth. As well, the Allison transmission doesn't make a sound when slowing down, but the Allison transmission is the most aggressive out of all of them. Now the ride quality on all these buses are quite nice. The suspension is good because it's an Enviro300 and the design is nice as well. To tell that you're on an Enviro300, when you get on, there usually be 3 seats next to the driver facing towards the door of the bus. With the Enviro200, it'll only have 2 seats and one kind of a luggage space in the middle. Some Enviro300s will also have another 3 seats opposite the 3 seats when you get on, but this is optional. With the ZF Ecolife transmission, it was quite jerky. When changing gear from first, second to third, you usually feel quite a judder, and I don't know why it does this, but when it's in other gears, it's quite smooth. The ZF Ecomat, you can't really feel the gear changes, but you can hear them quite a lot, and it's quite nice actually. The Voith transmission, this is just like a car basically. When you change gear, it'll lose a bit of power and then gain it up, but it's quite a nice transmission. And then the Allison transmission, yeah, this transmission is quite smooth. When you put speed into it, you can't really feel the gear changes, but sometimes it can get confused as well. This one can do kickdowns too. Now I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments what bus you want me to do next.